Welcome to John and Ben's Bacchanalia, guys.
Hello, hello, hello.
If you couldn't tell from the beautiful musical accompaniment earlier, we're talking Jurassic Park this week.
Yep, or Jurassic World, technically. But
technically. Jurassic Park 4, a.k.a. Jurassic World, a.k.a.
the Chris Pratt special.
Chris Pratt with dinosaurs, and it's a hot mess. I don't even, it's more like a lukewarm mess, honestly.
Or just a mess. So John saw it in theaters. I, being the shameless cheapo that I am, decided to torrent it off of the Yield Pirate Bay. So I had to talk with Blackbeard. He was guarding the entrance, and he let me in free. So, and we watched it, and we want to talk about it.
Yeah, because wow, this movie.
First, though, what are we drinking?
Tonight we are drinking Midnight Moon Moonshine Cherry Flavor, distilled at 100 proof. Distilled from corn.
Yes, and it'll clear you out, folks.
It tastes pretty good for 100 proof white whiskey that just has some cherries thrown in it.
Right. I mean, it's flavorful. It's pretty strong, but
it's really strong.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
But it does not taste like pure rubbing alcohol. So
it smells like it.
Yes, it does. There's not quite the cherry notes.
It was an intimidating smell because it just smells like it smells like straight rubbing alcohol. So where do you want to start, Ben? I was thinking we could. You've seen the other Jurassic Parks, right?
Well, I've seen the first two. I've not seen the third.
Like, are you a big Jurassic Park fan? Like,
well, I will say that I've read the. So I've seen the movie. I read the novel by Michael Crichton, and I've seen the second one. And I am honestly a fan of the novel. Mm-hmm. Michael Crichton is sort of an interesting writer in that he just learns a lot about things and then just info dumps you while like having like a pretty good plot. So,
yeah.
And I did like Jurassic Park, the novel. The movie was also very good. The second one was a little more campy due to probably Jeff Goldblum being the anchor for the most of the movie. And but I also liked it as well because they were revisiting the ruins of the park. And the novel actually has a great cliffhanger where they realize that the dinosaurs have been migrating, and I believe that also happens at the end of the first movie.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't think it really ever comes up again, but
right. So I mean, I am a theme of like the danger of genetics, the nature man sort of whole thing.
Yeah.
Like
kind of our inability to really control nature as much as we think we do.
Right. Or humility. I think that gets brought up actually in Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be totally honest. Like, Jurassic Park is a movie that is near and dear to my heart. I was the dinosaur kid growing up. Like, I knew everything about dinosaurs. I knew every name. I knew what to call them. I knew how big they were. I knew what, the 3 periods they lived in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so Jurassic Park was actually, the first, PG-13 movie I ever saw, because, I convinced my uncle to convince my parents to let me watch it when I was, my parents were really weird about, letting me watch, mature movies.
My parents were as well.
Yeah, and so, it took some doing, but I had to see this, when I learned that this movie existed, I had to see it because it had dinosaurs in it. And it's still a great movie. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's one of my favorite action movies. Probably my favorite, straight action movie, just because it has the right balance of scares with, humor and just interesting settings and good characters.
Yeah, there's some horror as well.
Yeah. That first scene when, with the raptor, in the box and it pulls the dude in,
right.
That was freaky when you were, 8 years old. So I went into them, like Ben, I kind of like the second one. The third one's a steaming pile of shit, which is why the franchise went extinct for 15 years until this one came out. I really wanted to like this movie, and I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't like it as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big budget, Hollywood movie. There are product placements, there's stunt casting. Actually, I don't know if it's a stunt casting, but there are some popular character actors. For instance, what is his name?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, and then Nick from New Girl.
And then Kitty Sanchez from Arrested Development is the mom, weirdly enough.
And it's funny, actually, because the I don't remember his name, but the actor who plays Nick from New Girl is sort of there as, like, the hipster male, like, comedic timing sort of, like, relief. Like,
kind of a Jeff Goldblum-y type character, like, from the first one.
Oh,
like,
for sure,
I mean, not as, like, central to the plot as Jeff Goldblum was in the first one.
Or awesome.
Or awesome. Well, he's not Jeff Goldblum, so of course he's not going to be as awesome.
Because there's that line he says in the first one where he wears black so he's ready for weddings and funerals. It's good for any occasion.
See, that's what I mean. That's what's so great about the first one. Like, it has stuff like that. It has great jokes like that, and just great deadpan humor, and it just, I don't know.
Right, here, in this situation, this character, the only moment I really enjoyed was when he tries to, at the end, make out with a female coworker of his.
Like, he's like making this big sacrifice. Like,
right. I'll stay behind.
He's staying behind, like, while the park's getting destroyed to, like, monitor the other people and make sure they get out okay, and, like, he goes in for this kiss, and she's like, no, I have a boyfriend. And he's like, oh.
You never mentioned him. And she's like, yeah, I'm at work. And so then they, like, awkwardly hug.
That was a pretty cool scene. Like, there are some decent scenes in this movie, and we'll kind of talk about that as we keep going.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad-looking movie at all. I mean, for, like, all the CGI, it doesn't look terrible. I mean,
no, yeah.
You kind of are having a skewed perception just because the video quality on your illegal copy.
On my illegal copy, it was kind of dirty, and like all of the text had Spanish subtitles, and the colors were muted. But I mean, it still looked all right.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it's not. The cinematography is pretty good. Like, the camera work's very solid. Like, there's no point in this movie where I'm like, this looks stupid or this looks bad. Like.
Right, no, it's well made.
Yeah. It's very much like a craftsman kind of piece. Like, you can tell that this thing was made, like, by a committee of, like, Hollywood execs, and it looks pretty, but it has, like, no real cohesion. Like,
right. And just there are multiple callbacks and/or themes to other Jurassic Park movies that are just kind of crammed in, or like, done kind of hastily.
They end up in, like, the like ruins of the original visitor center from the first one for, like, really no reason. Like, why is that building still there? Like, because it takes apparently. Okay, so this movie takes the second two movies 2 and 3 out of continuity, and it's only the first one happened. And apparently, they built the new park on the ruins of the old park. But, like, the old visitor center is just kind of, like, chilling out there in the wilderness, despite nothing else from the original park being around, really.
And, like, there's a Hammond Center in reference to John Hammond.
I like that, actually. I thought, like, some of the stuff, like, actually, like, looking at the park was kind of cool. Like, what Jurassic Park would actually look like when it was operational. Because we've never gotten to see that in any of the other movies.
True, because it's either in the throes of trying to start working, or it's, like, decayed and decrepit. Which is my favorite. Anytime I can look at, like, mass consumerist spectacles that are reduced to ruins, I'm a happy man.
You're going to like seeing me when I'm 80 and alone and dying.
Don't say that. Oh, God. You're not a mall, John, or a consumer, or a tourist park.
But see, Ben, I'm trying to become the human embodiment of capitalism.
Art! Well, so that's actually a good point that you bring up. The two characters that investigate the ruins of said old park are the, like, two youngest leads.
Yeah.
There's a younger dude, and then there's, like, a really angsty sort of teen lead.
Yeah, this movie kind of has too many characters. Like, we'll get back to what you're talking about here in a sec, but, like, there's, like, 3 sets of leads in this movie. Like, there's the kids, there's Chris Pratt and, like, bitch lady, and I guess there are only really, like, 2 main sets. We keep flipping to, like, other minor characters, like Nick in the tech office and the evil military guy.
There's the evil military dude. I can't remember his name, but it might be like Hammond or something.
No, it's Hoskins.
Hoskins, that's what it is. Yeah. And, like, so Hoskins wants to use raptors to replace drones in the military, and so he has 2 speeches, one of which involves equating that everything is war, and we're in the jungle, it's all war, and then the second one is that we have to militarize everything because that's where this is going. And at one point, it seems like the movie is becoming a weird metaphor for militarization and or involvement in foreign war. But then that gets thrown out the window because they've created this mutant sort of T-Rex raptor to impress the kids, and it goes out of control, and then sort of throws out the weird military part out the window.
But just going back to the kids earlier, they're honestly my least favorite part of this movie. Out of a movie that I don't like a lot of to begin with. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm getting I'm not a teenager anymore. I don't connect with kid characters the same way I used to. I kind of find because the little kid he's really precocious and always running around and
right.
Oh my god, you gotta look at this, and he just gets really emotional for no reason at certain points.
And he has really goofy hair.
Yeah, and then the teenager is just, oh my god, the most just fucking piece of shit character in this whole movie. He's in this park full of fucking dinosaurs, literally where I would have dreamt of being all through my life, and he's just oogling girls the whole time and angsting and trying to look cool, and it's dude, there's Tyrannosaurus Rex in front of you, enjoy yourself.
And him and his brother, they're sort of estranged at the beginning in almost all of movies where this sort of plot line is shoehorned in. But they eventually come together at the end, and it's kind of forced and uncomfortable.
Because they never really go through any moments where it's they're learning that they have to stick together. They just kind of decide that at the end.
There's a lot of telling and not a whole lot of showing.
Yeah.
At one point they talk about how this is the most interesting part to me is that the mom of the kids, who is Kitty Sanchez from Arrested Development, sends them
Spring Break.
sends them to Jurassic World so that the sister, who is the female lead romantic interest of Chris Pratt, who's also she's sort of the middle manager of the park, not the head.
No,
but
she's the main manager, under the guy who actually owns it.
Right. But anyway, so she gets sent there, and what's interesting is she's not watching the kids in the first scene, and the sister, Kitty Sanchez, is very upset and says that the older brother can be really cruel. Except we never see that. And later we're told that the older brother protected the younger brother from some sort of ghost.
Yeah, apparently they thought their old house was haunted or something.
And of course we're not shown this at all. We're just told it while the raptors are chasing them in this car.
Yeah.
And we're just oh, they're brothers. We're supposed to feel something. So.
This movie it's again, maybe it's just the age I'm at and just where I am in my life, but I don't know, I find the family super important guys Aesop to just be kind of grating anymore. It's okay, I get it, yeah, family's cool, but I don't know, there's other themes to explore. I feel we've been told that enough.
Well, I mean, speaking of other themes, there's there's that theme, the family. Then there's the military involved.
Yeah, and then there's the typical Jurassic Park science gone mad theme.
Right, which that's almost only reduced to there's I think a Dr. Wu.
B.D. Wong.
Yeah.
Is the actor.
B.D. Wong is the one who's tasked with creating this super T-Rex raptor mutant in order to scare the kids and bring in a big, market for money. And he gives this somewhat small monologue about he's you've created a monster, and he says
monsters are relative. A cat is a monster to a canary. We're just used to being the cat.
Right. And that's it. So.
And, it's one of those things, this movie, and there's, kind of this weird, they don't ever really get to it, but, there is, a good, metaphor for the post-capitalist world here, in the fact that they keep talking about the public's sick of dinosaurs, they want something bigger and scarier with more teeth, and I think that could have been a really cool theme to explore.
Right, everyone's jaded. There could be some shot of some kid being unimpressed with something going on.
They keep telling us people are sick of dinosaurs and don't care anymore and that their attendance is dropping, but everything in this park is crowded and full of people who are having a great time.
Right.
There's nothing here to make me think that this park is in trouble at all. We keep being told over and over again we are on the verge of shutting down because no one is coming to this park.
Right, Hoskins has a line about $7 sodas.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of tossed off. So.
And it's just like, do you know what kind of movie you're making? Like, what do you want this to be about? And they never decide.
Right, and some people said, well, of course it's always going to be about the dinosaurs, but even then, only the sort of stock dinosaurs are used.
Yeah, and really, I mean, this kind of reminds me a lot of... Did you see the new Godzilla last summer?
I did not.
You did not? Well, it kind of reminds me of this movie, in that, like, that movie is all people stuff with Godzilla occasionally showing up to do a cameo. And that kind of was what I felt about this movie. Like, it's supposed to be a movie about dinosaurs, but really, it's a movie about people with the dinosaurs occasionally showing up.
Right, and no, exactly. And so raptors are used, T-Rex is used, the giant alligator.
Yeah, Mosasaur is kind of the only, like, out of left field one, like, new thing that they haven't done before.
But we don't get anything of, like, there's that great scene in the original Jurassic Park where those poison-spitting monsters kill that one hacker dude.
Yeah.
In a really horrifying scene.
Well, there's a really horrifying scene in this movie.
but in the middle of it is some dude running away with 2 margaritas in both hands.
Okay, I want to talk about this scene real quick.
Yeah, okay.
Just so you guys know, like, if you're listening to this, we're all like, there's always a spoiler warning on these. Like, don't ever expect us not to go into spoilers, because we just are going to. Right. Anyway, at one point, there's an aviary, like, full of pterodactyls, and, like, they all get loose. And, of course, the first thing they do for some reason is they fly to, like, the big resort area where all the people are holed up and just start attacking everyone. And it's crazy.
Yeah, they just fuck shit up, essentially.
And, like Ben said, like, it's a great scene because there's just all this weird shit happening in the background. Like Ben said, there's this guy who just, like, grabs these margaritas and like, them off. And there's, like, it's got the most brutal death scene in the movie where it's like, okay, so there's this one character, her name's Zara, I think, and she's like the aunt's assistant who was supposed to be watching the 2 boys.
In place of the aunt.
Yeah, and they run off at some point for no reason. Like, because she wasn't being overbearing or anything, they just decide to run off.
Right, he's like, the older brother goes, go, run! They, like, run away.
Like, there's no reason for it.
Right.
But anyway, and, like, she finds them, like, while this chaos is happening, and, like, as soon as she finds them, this pterodactyl, like, lunges down and, like, grabs her and, like, throws her through the air with, like, this other pterodactyl, and then she gets dropped in this water, and the pterodactyl dives down, like, keeps trying to grab her with its beak, and then the Mosasaurus, which is this giant alligator thing, comes up and eats both her and the pterodactyl, like, in one bite, and
right.
It's fucking ridiculous and brutal, and, like, that's something that should have happened to, like, the main villain of this movie. Like, that's the kind of death scene it was, but it happened to just, like, kind of this inconsequential background character who hadn't done anything wrong.
And in order to make up for that, they just kind of dragged the scene out, because the pterodactyl is just, like, toying with her and, like, throwing her in the water. And
screaming the whole time. It's like a horror movie scream.
Right.
Like, it's terrible. If this movie, like, played it, like, darker, like, if it wasn't such a well-lit, like, bright, sunny scene, like, it'd be really horrifying.
Right. But, you know, I guess I think you're right by saying I think the movie wanted to do a lot, and so did all of it, but I guess nothing was explored in detail because of said.
Well, I think this was a movie done by committee, like I said. Like, they had, like, you got a bunch of people, a bunch of Hollywood executives sitting down, and we're like, we're going to make another Jurassic Park. Well, it has to have kids in it, because this is to be a kid's movie. Well, it has to have a love story in it, too, because, you know, Americans fucking love love stories.
Right.
You know, but it's a Jurassic Park movie, so there's got to be dinosaurs fucking shit up. And, you know, but, like, we can't just have the same old boring dinosaurs, so there's got to be, like, some crazy monster dinosaur.
Right.
But, like, we also have to have some kind of, like, political, like, topical things. There's got to be, like, a military message in there.
Right.
And, like, it's just, like, there's 8 different things going on, and it never can settle on anything.
For instance, speaking of not settling on anything, the raptor mutant Frankenstein monster that they make in the lab has both tree frog DNA and cuttlefish DNA. And the thing that they say about the cuttlefish DNA is that it can change colors. And
so, like, it has camouflage abilities like a fucking predator.
Well, what they should have done is a cuttlefish actually will change colors really rapidly and hypnotize its prey, and they didn't do that at all. But
I mean, the camouflage thing literally comes up once.
Right.
And then it never had, like, the monster dinosaur has whatever power it needs in that moment to just move the plot forward. Like,
Right.
there's no consistency. There's no, like, it's just, the monster dinosaur just exists to get, like, Chris Pratt and what's-her-face to the next scene. Like...
Exactly. I mean, it's a tight movie. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. But in the exchange of this, what's not, I guess, allowed by this sort of tight editing is that there's some quiet scenes that in the original Jurassic Park happened first, so they could get to the action stuff later. The quiet scenes are just kind of rammed in, like in the middle of this sort of tight, breakneck, like, oh god, the stakes are rising.
Basically, as soon as we get like to Jurassic World or whatever the park is called. Basically, like, action scenes start happening right away.
Yeah,
like, there's no build-up in this movie. Like, within, like, by the third scene, like, the monster dinosaur has escaped and, like, is started wrecking shit.
And of course, they don't show you the monster dinosaur in its full glory until later.
But
which
even
I
then,
guess,
I thought it was a really boring design.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought it was a raptor from the beginning, almost.
Yeah. I mean, well, it kind of looked... Like, a lot of the dinosaurs in this... Like, I thought that when they were doing, like, the valley scene, like, all the dinosaurs are just kind of the same, like, brownish gray. Like, there's very little color in the dinosaurs, which is kind of disappointing at some level. Like, I'm not saying they have to be, like, parrots or anything, but, like...
And, like, the sort of, like...
Something.
Oh, we're so inconsequential to these things sort of type scene happens, like, once, and they don't actually touch the dinosaurs, or just the two kids are just sitting in this pod, like, looking at them.
Yeah.
And instead, the movie is more relegated to, like, dinosaurs are our friends. Because, like, Chris Pratt is training them.
Managed to train raptors, which I don't think is possible. Like... At least from what I know about, like, reptiles. Like, you can't train reptiles to do anything.
But he does it... Well, yeah, but later he explains, like, oh, he's imprinted on them since birth.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, I don't know.
He's their alpha.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's how that actually works. But, like... And again, it's like we were talking about, like... Why does Chris Pratt know all this stuff? Like,
yeah, his character is supposedly ex-Navy.
Yeah, but like he just knows all about like dinosaurs and animal training for some reason.
And I think the best scene involving Chris Pratt happens early, where Hoskins is trying to convince him that, like, raptors can be trained. You're obviously proof of that. Raptors will be used as weapons. And he's just like, you know, you can't control them. They're animals. And then, meanwhile, this, like, dumb dude, like, accidentally gets, he falls into the raptor cage, and Chris Pratt has to save them. And it's bookended pretty nicely. So, and of course, that's the scene where he's, like, standing in front of the raptors with his hands out.
His arms out.
Which has since become a meme.
Zookeepers.
Right, involving zookeepers and various animals. So,
but yeah, and then, can we take a minute to kind of talk about like some of the kind of problematic gender territory this thing kind of delves into?
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Mad Max just set a really high bar for me this summer, but like some of the like sex stuff in this movie was kind of hard to watch.
Well,
like,
I mean, Chris Pratt is given a sort of stereotypical he-man, Navy, macho, like a lot of double entendres.
Yeah, but like this movie like almost makes it like a crime to be feminine at some level, because every like feminine or like well-dressed character gets punished at some point. Like the kind of, you know, the kind of like well-dressed like mogul who owns Jurassic World like gets in a helicopter crash because he gets cocky. He's another character who has like no consistent characterization. But like, I don't know, we'll talk about that later maybe. But like Zara is like a very like well-dressed woman, and like she gets fucking just maimed and eaten. And like Claire the aunt, like the only time you can tell like she's shifted and like she's not all self-centered now and she cares about family and saving those kids is when she like rolls her sleeves up and like gets dirty.
Right, like takes her shirt off, and like Chris Pratt is like, what does that even mean?
Which I actually thought that was a little funny, because it was just kind of saying that was a little ridiculous, but still. And then like Chris Pratt in this movie, because he's macho, because he's the big strong man, he is always right. There is never a single moment in this movie where someone questioning him is not an idiot and wrong.
Right, he suggests that they get the, like, I guess, heaviest artillery gun on the Frankenstein monster very early.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we've got $26 million invested in this. You know,
or, you know, we can control the raptor. No, you can!
Right.
I'm not really going to explain why, but you can! I know you just saw me control him, but fuck you! And it's just like, it's just... And then, like, again, his whole relationship with Claire is just like... she is just like, she believes in like having schedules and being ordered and clean.
Right.
Like, what a fucking bitch.
Right. I think what they should have done is there's a scene early on in the movie where she has to talk to him about something. I don't remember what it is. And they have a weird argument about how he tried to take her on a date and he wore like cargo shorts and wanted to drink tequila.
Yeah.
And like she had a schedule and like I think they should have just played it straight and then had the, I guess, romantic interest develop later.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like they just had no chemistry either.
Right, and just because you put that joke in with Nick from New Girl trying to make out with her and it not happening doesn't mean you can add a just totally stereotypical romantic plot
exactly.
line
It's
later.
like one like progressive joke doesn't just excuse you from this really like ham-fisted like.
And like and when they kiss, it's like it's really weird. They should have saved
like halfway through the movie,
right? And I think I want to say it's after she like I guess makes a big dramatic moment and maybe like tasers that.
Well,
one.
it's when the pterodactyls are attacking the resort and like they just go to town on them with like instant effect tranquilizer guns
that like are in 30 seconds and you're just out cold. Like, well, and you know,
fucking easy.
Contrast that to when Mad Max just hands the female lead the gun because he knows she's a better shot than he is.
Yeah.
Versus, I've learned how to shoot and take action. We should make out.
It's one of those things. Like again, maybe I'm not being a good American right now, but I'm really fucking sick of love stories just being like shoehorned into things.
Right, and just we need a romantic subplot that works out or will work out in the coming sequels.
Oh my god! And the ending was so stupid. Where it's like, what do we do now? We stay together for survival, and it's like, what does that even mean?
Right, there's no reference to the brothers, and their parents are gonna get divorced.
Like the parents just show back up, and like apparently just everything's cool again because that's how divorce works.
See, I think they should have included the parents on the island, and then they could through all the dinosaurs happening, maybe have a better family unit.
But then we just have even more characters to follow. Like I think they should have just cut the kids out altogether. And just really focused on Chris Pratt and...
Well, because if you think about it, everybody that was into the Jurassic Park is now at least a 20-something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say any young kids about the same age of the young lead are into at least Jurassic Park as much as dinosaurs. Maybe they're young kids that are into... Yeah.
I don't entirely know. Obviously we don't have kids.
But honestly, I think...
It's not like a Star Wars thing where it's like parents are like sharing Jurassic Park on like this deep, intimate level with their kids.
Well, I mean, maybe they are.
But like, I don't know. At least not in the way that I can imagine.
Honestly, though, I think if Jurassic Park was going to play it straight to its demographic, they would have kept the kids out.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just like... I think they were just kind of there because, again, this designed by a committee, and they were just like, there needs to be kids, because, this is a big action movie that we want families to come to,
Right.
I don't know, this movie's just a mess, guys.
I mean, you should definitely see it if you want to see, a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, go see Mad Max.
But you can't take your kids to Mad Max.
Who cares? Who that listens to our podcast has kids?
Well, the reason I said that though was because of this movie. I think.
Fair enough.
But you're John's right though.
Give your money to somebody who deserves it. And Mad Max deserves your money.
I was checking out. I haven't seen Mad Max, but I've seen some screenshots, and they were keeping in the frame, they would keep the actor in a third or in a harmonic mean of the shot so that it's really pleasing.
Yeah.
And there are actually some nice dissections of shots of Mad Max, which is pretty great because on the other hand, Jurassic World, it's just, it gets the job done. The cinematography is there. It's not terrible, but this
is a craftsman movie. Whoever directed this is a craftsman. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's not like an art movie at all. There's no art here. It's to get butts and seats, to sell tickets,
Right, because apparently in, I want to say somewhere in either Korea or China, if you see Jurassic World, you can get a Jurassic egg popcorn container.
And I wish that we had those in America.
Right. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be fucking great.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, on that hand, it's obviously a big consumer product tourist movie.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, I mean, it's just a mess. Like, that's all I can, like, I sit here, I think about this movie, and, like, that's the one word that comes to mind. It's just a fucking mess.
You know what I really liked was in the original Jurassic Park movie and in the novel, there's a nice, they bring in the idea of fractals and, like, systems and patterns being based on one iteration, and then that iteration being continued. And if something is wrong with the initial iteration, the end result will be just a giant mess.
Yeah.
And so in the novel, certain sections of the novel are broken up into different iterations of the said fractal. And so underneath, the Michael Crichton included different quotes from, I think, Ian Black, or I don't remember his name, but it's the Jeff Goldblum fractal math character.
Yeah.
And there's certain quotes of him saying...
Chaos theory.
Right, chaos theory, and about how, like, at this point, the pattern requires fear and apprehension in order to comprehend the, like, errors being made or something. The total catastrophe in weight or something like that. And so I wish, like, I think they worked that in, at least somewhat briefly in the movie. But, you know, I mean, this is a big budget blockbuster movie.
Like, there's nothing that deep in here.
There's no time for subtlety.
Yeah.
There's no, like...
No. I mean, there's no time to breathe in this movie. Really?
Well, I mean, there is, but when it does happen, for instance, that shot when the two kids are in the pod and they're seeing all the brontosauruses, it doesn't work the same way because it's in the middle of, like, breakneck action, the stakes are already high.
I mean, it's a time to breathe, but it's a boring time.
Right, yeah.
It's not like the moments in the original Jurassic Park where, like, yeah, it's Jeff Goldblum and the girl sitting in the car talking about math.
Right, like, or when the dude, I don't remember his name, they're actually, like, looking at the brontosauruses, and they're just like, oh, wow.
Well, I think that's a big thing. I think the biggest failure of this movie is the original Jurassic Park is a movie that, like, inspires awe at some level. Because, again, like, you see these dinosaurs, and it's just amazing. Like, it just takes your breath away. And in this movie, like, you see the dinosaurs, and maybe that's kind of the point. Maybe we are all just jaded at this point. But, like, I never once was like, like, nothing took my breath away. Like, nothing ever, like, surprised me or, like, really made me glad I was seeing this movie or, like, really was just new and exciting.
But, well, John, saying as you are a big dinosaur fan, what would have?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's so much like a visual thing or like having a specific dinosaur, but this movie just didn't treat the dinosaurs with the same like level of respect.
Yeah,
I guess.
I would
and like
so
again,
well.
the same level of like awe-inspiring. Like it wasn't trying to inspire awe with the dinosaurs. They were just set pieces.
Yeah, I mean,
because this is a Jurassic Park movie, so there have to be dinosaurs.
Right, and since it's designed by committee, the top 3 rated dinosaurs are the raptors, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and some giant big crocodile thing that we're going to research later. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I think I would rather have movies with a little more subtlety, and I don't know. I guess... But, I mean, that's weird saying, because it is a blockbuster, big-budget movie.
But again, it's possible. And again, I guess maybe just... I hate to keep bringing up Mad Max, but, like, that just really did set the bar really high for me for the summer. Like, it's going to be really hard to impress me after that.
It's a good point of comparison.
Yeah, I mean, because, again, I think these are going to be kind of our two, like... I guess there's The Avengers, too, but I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, so, like, from what I hear, it's kind of like this movie in that it feels very... kind of weird and just not as, like, interesting as the other ones.
My brother said it was funny. That was the one thing my brother said about it. He was like, I thought it was funny, and I laughed. And I was like, well, I mean, that's all you can really ask, I guess.
I guess so.
Right, so... but...
there we go. You have anything else you want to say about this one?
I mean, for a popcorn movie, I think it does its job well, but I think John and I are not as into popcorn movies as, I guess, the average popcorn movie enthusiast.
I mean, it was one of those things. I went and saw this Friday because I was bored and I had nothing else to do because I was waiting for people to get off work. And so, like, it killed 2 hours of my day. It was a good way to kill 2 hours, I guess. I just wish that it hadn't cost me $11 to see it.
And I didn't pay anything for it, and I'm not the worst for wear. No, I know how to use the internet.
You were a criminal.
All right.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with something or other. And we're back.
And we're going to revise the Hat of Topics segment from last week.
With an actual hat this time, instead of a wet cup.
Right. And so I'm going to modify the rules slightly so that if you stutter, you don't have to drink.
Okay.
I think that's wise.
Probably a wise idea, given, that what we're drinking is really strong.
Right. So I will go first. Just so you know, this is an actual hat.
Yeah.
On it, it says, any hair is good hair, and there is a sort of
fake hair thing.
Right. This was given to me by a friend because I have no hair.
Ben is bald.
Yeah, bald as a stone. And what is going to be my first topic? Also, in case you don't know what this segment is, we write down random topics, and the person who picks a topic is invited to discuss at length said topic. So,
indeed. All right, what are we doing first?
The Charleston church shootings.
Oh man, we're starting off a little dark here.
Well, I mean, I think this is important to talk about, which is why I put it in.
Yeah.
I think the thing to discuss here is that, if I remember correctly, his name is Dylan Roof or something.
Dylan Storm Roof or something like that.
And the media is, I believe, still portraying him as a ill-adjusted lone wolf with a bad family background, and not portraying him as a proponent of American terrorism, because he honestly, I believe, is.
No, yeah, he is. I mean, the thing that I think is very problematic is that when these kinds of things happen, we only ever get half the story. Yeah. When it's a black person or a Muslim person, we get the typical, cultural lines. Oh, black culture creates thugs. Muslim culture creates terrorists. But white culture, it's because they're loners and they're mentally ill and they need help. Don't you feel bad for them? And it's I think it's both things kind of together. Not to say all black people are thugs or all Muslims are terrorists. But it is that black shooters, Muslim shooters, white shooters. Most of them, yes, all of them, I think, are at some level mentally ill and maladjusted. It's just that with white people, we just say that that's the only reason why versus looking at any kind of culture of violence surrounding them.
Right, and there are several images circulating of him not being handcuffed when he was arrested, and I believe he actually was. And the image that's being circulated is you can't actually tell, but his hands are down low and they are handcuffed. So
I don't know about that.
He was handcuffed, but, a bulletproof vest was put on him for his protection.
I mean, it's one of these things, I do think there's some credence to the people who are saying, why was he brought in alive and that kid in Cleveland shot dead? For pointing a fake gun at police officers, an obviously fake gun.
Right.
And I'm glad that we're having these conversations, and I'm glad that people are calling out the media on this. Because this is becoming a big problem.
Yeah, the media does need, if anything, in recent events involving race relations and violence, the media has definitely been called to task for this, and I hope that it elicits some kind of change, because it's really upsetting to see certain people placed in weird positions that don't represent them, or just portrayed in light that doesn't make any sense.
Well, what I'm just saying is I'm just talking about the culture of violence in America, especially in white America, because again we talk about cultures of violence for other races, but we ignore it in white culture, and there is a culture of violence in white culture, and it's tied into the cult of toxic masculinity that permeates a lot of white culture.
Right, and it's even more upsetting to see recent male Republican presidential candidates try to
pussyfoot around.
Right, exactly. They try to cast.
They don't want to piss off the racists and the gun nuts.
Right, they're trying to cast the events of Charleston in their own light to serve certain needs of their, demographic that they're trying to get votes for.
Yeah. I will make no bones about it. I'm not a huge fan of President Obama. I think that he has been more of a disappointment than he's been a success. But I was very happy that he actually got up there and he did criticize American gun culture, because that's a very... I mean, I guess since he's been elected twice, he doesn't have to worry about pissing anybody off at some level, but somebody needs to stand up to the gun lobby in this country because it's ridiculous. And again, this kind of thing should not be happening in civilized countries, and it doesn't, except in America.
Right. I think we want to switch topics, but I do want to question John on what he thinks about gun control in the NRA.
I mean, the NRA is a group of capitalist terrorists who use loopholes in laws in order to make money and put the guns in the hands of anyone who wants them, regardless of whether or not they should have one.
So, I mean, I guess do you argue for a more stricter, I guess, allowance to people having guns?
Yes.
And more criteria for
I don't know if it's feasible for us to ever be at a place like Japan is at, where basically no one has guns, because I think that just American culture is too founded on rural values of, like, hunting and things like that. There'll always be people who want to do that for some reason. And so I think there will always be guns in America, but I think there needs to be a lot more regulation of who can get guns, how fast you can get guns, which guns you can get.
Yeah.
Where guns are allowed.
Yeah.
I think that unless you are doing something like hunting or defending your house, I do not think that people should be openly carrying.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because a friend of mine was struck by a comparison that he made between owning a car and owning a gun. Because if you're a good car owner and you're a good gun owner, you regularly clean the parts of your car, you investigate it, you try it out, you care for it. You know, there's some thought involved. You're not literally just taking this thing out to the range and blowing apart anything you see.
Well, and it's
like you sort of take care of it, and so I think that's a side to, I think, gun ownership that a lot of people don't see. That certainly doesn't justify a lot of the things that are done.
I mean, the problem with guns is that there is a very, again, like, there is a horrible culture built around guns in this country, and it's one of toxic masculinity and destructiveness for the purpose of showing how tough and powerful you are. And that is when it becomes dangerous, because that's what motivates these shooters, is the fact that they think that they can use a gun and they can go out and they can kill a bunch of people and that it will accomplish something.
Right, they can right some weird preconceived wrongs involving themselves or some other wrongs that are
They can write a 13th chapter to Catcher in the Rye and John Lennon's blood.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, actually, because there's in 6 Degrees of Separation, I think, or I can't remember the title of it, somebody makes a point that a lot of mass murderers and or people that commit violence are really fans of Catcher in the Rye. Mm-hmm. And, like, they identify very strongly with Holden Caulfield. And
I mean, it's very much the type of person who's like, oh, the world's all fucked up, but I'm the only one who can see it because everyone else is fake.
Right. I'm the only one who gets it.
No, you're not the only one who gets it. We all get it. Some of us are just better adjusted and just kind of deal with it.
I think on that note, we're going to go to a different topic.
But also, I do want to take one thing. If you are listening to this and you are having, like, dark thoughts, like, everybody has dark thoughts from time to time. Like, it's not anything to be ashamed of, but if you feel like those are getting out of control, go talk to a therapist.
Right, they are there to listen to you and give their full attention to you, and you should definitely seek them out if you feel as though you need it.
Sorry, I just felt like that should be something we should end this kind of a discussion on.
No, that's a good PSA.
That is your John and Ben's Bacchanalia PSA for the evening.
Right.
Drink responsibly.
Yeah. We have your best health and interest. So
don't contact us. We can't help you.
We'll just see you to your nearest therapist. So.
Anyway, all right. It's my turn, I believe.
Yes.
All right.
Draw from the hat of topics.
Okay. Identifying as black, even though you're not. I believe that, Ben, you wrote this one in relation to the Rachel Dolezal incident this week.
I did.
Yeah. As someone who does spend a lot of time, again, I'm a big hip hop fan. Like, it's one of those things where I do consume a lot of black culture. I do enjoy a lot of black culture. And I this was a weird kind of thing for me to see, because again, it's like, it brought up the question for me as a white person, like, at what point does me enjoying something become appropriative? Obviously, I'm not doing, like, what Rachel Dolezal did. I'm not, like, putting on blackface and pretending to be black. But, like, again, I identify with a lot of the music I listen to. I identify with a lot of the kind of struggles that I hear about in black music and black culture, even if I haven't necessarily experienced the same kind of thing.
As do I, yeah.
And it just kind of made me wonder, like, am I appropriating someone else's struggle, again, to kind of make myself feel better? Like, am I using this as an excuse to not pay attention to what's really going on in, like, the inner cities and things? And I hope that I'm not, but it's one of those things that's always kind of hard to see through your own privilege.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say on this topic, just because it's one of those things, like, if you are a moderately reasonable person, you think that what Rachel Dolezal did was ridiculous and unacceptable.
And attention-seeking and absolutely absurd.
It's amazing to me that she got away with it for as long as she did, because she doesn't look black, even, like, in her costume.
Right. Additionally, I don't know if, I can't remember which medium it was displayed in, but in some sort of, I guess, Tonight or talk show, they addressed this, and they pointed out that what African Americans need is allies, not replacements.
Yeah.
And so while she may have interests at heart in being black, she shouldn't replace those who actually are black.
Well, it's one of those things, and I think this sums it up. Being able to pretend that you are black is the epitome of white privilege.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so while I may enjoy, a good Soul Cut by Al Green or the new Kendrick album, that does not mean that I'm identifying as black.
Yeah, I mean, there's between appreciation and appropriation, and I think that's kind of at the heart of things here.
Exactly.
All right, Ben.
It is my turn. I will draw into the hat of topics. And I have presidential race. I guess, John, you wrote this. You're referring to the race for the presidential...
Presidency of the United States, yes.
Right. So the internet has told me to vote Bernie Sanders. I haven't researched it. I probably should before I actually vote for Bernie Sanders. Let me just say, as I mentioned earlier, many of the Republican candidates handling the Charleston shootings have done a piss poor job. And while I wasn't going to vote for them, I certainly won't be. I don't know how much I really pull for Hillary. I certainly agree with her stance on marijuana. However, I need to probably research more about her before voting for her, just because she voted for the, I guess, legalization of marijuana for medicinal purposes. So,
got your priorities real straight there, Ben.
I hate. All right, that's what I'm about. So, I do think I think the ideal
criminal.
The ideal presidential candidate is someone who is well informed and, I guess, actually puts time into the different speeches and or presentations by the certain candidates. And I think there's a real struggle against not doing that and or just simply not caring. And before, I think I honestly meant that I've voted Obama without really thinking about it in the last...
me too, honestly.
Right. And so ideally, I'd like to think more about this. And I'll try hard not to get involved with other things, but as comedian Doug Stanhope says, many 20-year-olds don't have time to vote because they've got shit to do. They're working double time at the Banana Republic, and they're trying to make a living, stacking pants, and they've got shit to do. So I'm going to try to combat that, but that's honestly...
Shit happens.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm shooting for. So.
Yeah. I mean, I do recommend, kind of checking out Bernie Sanders a little bit. He's definitely who I'm liking so far, just because he actually seems to, be suggesting something other. Even with Hillary, I just feel like I'm just going to be voting for, 4 more years of Obama.
Or old guard liberalism.
Yeah, I mean, liberalism and the American definition of liberalism, which is, center-right everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Bernie has some interesting points of view. So, I mean, he claims to be a socialist. I don't really think he is, because he doesn't actually talk about, like, worker control of the means of production. But he's a socialist from the American perspective, which means that, you know, he's in favor of progressive taxation and social welfare instead of letting people starve to death because they happen to be black.
And I think he also has something involving student debt.
Yeah.
Which he's addressing.
That's a big question for me, this election cycle.
Right. Has Hillary even addressed that at all?
I think she has, actually. I haven't really checked up too much just because... I'm working double time at the Banana Republic stacking pants.
Right. You've got shit to do.
I have 7 kids. I don't actually have 7 kids.
That's the great thing about that joke. It's like, it makes sense, but also at the same time, it definitely points the finger at excuses. So,
thanks for explaining the joke.
I'm sorry.
It's no longer funny.
I mean, Stanhope, you know, some people are offended by his humor, but I think his humor makes a lot of sense, and so I feel the need to explain it to other people, so
it's okay. I'm not really mad.
It's fine. Viewers may be mad, so...
But, you know, who cares?
Right.
Fuck you guys.
I think... Do you think there's time for one more on your end, John?
I think we have plenty of time, Ben. We can go a little over if we need to. Don't worry about it. Funk.
Yeah, that's I put that one in.
I figured because I didn't write it, and I'm the only 2 people here. So
right. Hey, well, before viewers, if you want to contribute topics and/or questions to us, feel free to just comment and/or hit us up on Tumblr. And we'll include links at the end.
We should probably make like an email account for the show. That might be a good idea.
We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have that up by next week, and we'll let you guys know.
Yeah, so if you were to hear our thoughts
how to
about...
contact the show.
Right, if you want to hear our thoughts about absolutely whatever, we will include them.
Literally anything, no matter how disgusting, perverted, boring, trivial,
sentimental.
You want to know like what me and Ben think about noses?
We'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
And it won't just be a Freudian analysis.
No, so it won't be, because I hate Freud. If you want to know why I hate Freud...
Submit to the show.
Anyway, funk.
Yeah.
Funk music's pretty nifty.
I'm glad you think so.
I like funk. I like Parliament. I like, fucking Bootsy Collins. I like the one segment of the Mighty Boosh where they talk about the origins of funk music, where Bootsy Collins was a humble farmer before he found the funk, which is a magical ball of teats from outer space.
And the reason the funk died is because George Clinton kicked it overboard in the mothership. Yeah. Yeah, viewers, if you have not seen the segment, you need to immediately look it up on YouTube.
But anyway, actually I was listening to kind of an interesting thing that it's not all about funk, but I was listening to NPR a few nights ago, and they had the show called Studio Q, which is kind of like a media review show, a little like this, but obviously like with more production, and like they have guests and things because it's a real show made by NPR, so like they can get people to come to their show. But anyway, they were talking with some guy who did he made a documentary about hip hop and fashion. He was talking about kind of the shift in fashion from the 70s to the 80s among black musicians. And like the 70s when funk was really big, it was very much kind of an imitation of like glam rock styles and kind of like, again, trying to be rock stars and kind of, again, like kind of this aping of what was going on in white music, like in terms of fashion, which is kind of ironic. There's almost this weird like cyclical nature to like that because again, like, white people steal rock and roll from black people.
David Bowie was really into funk.
Yeah. But anyway, and then kind of like how when rap became big, like fashion, like for black musicians became way more like, I don't know if tame is the word, but way more like in stream with what people were actually wearing like in the neighborhoods. Yeah. Which just struck me as a little interesting just because again, like if you look at what like George Clinton and P-Funk and Parliament were wearing at the time, like it's crazy. It makes David Bowie look like he was wearing a gray flannel suit.
Right, and like not even to say the insane amount of drugs they were doing.
That's true, yes.
And just like how I read online that somebody was arguing that Funkadelic was the equivalent to Led Zeppelin as far as just like insane amount of drug usage and volume of playing.
I can agree. I can agree with that.
Just like how loud they would play.
Yeah.
I think somebody in Funkadelic actually had to quit because they did too much acid and speed at the same time. It just blew their minds.
It's like Manson family level
right,
shit.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, like, I feel like funk doesn't get talked about enough. Like, for as much influence as it has, you know, when we talk about American music, you know, we talk about blues, and we talk about rock and roll, and to a lesser extent, we talk about hip-hop, and we talk about jazz.
Right.
You know, but we don't talk about funk, which is really weird, because funk was like this huge thing at the time, like, and we just never talk about it.
And funk is just so much fun.
Yeah, I guess just because it gets wrapped up in rock and roll, because again, rock and roll is this kind of nebulous term that like all these things get thrown under for no real reason besides they have electric guitars in them.
Right.
But yeah, so like I really wish we'd talk more about funk, and that funk would kind of make a comeback at some level. I'd love to see some new funk acts really pushing the envelope and getting popular.
Well, speaking of comeback, I mean, Blurred Lines was a funk song, I would say, but it was such a terrible, upsetting...
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Blurred Lines just because, like, I don't really know how I feel about Blurred Lines because I see both arguments.
Marvin Gaye successfully sued Robin Thicke.
I mean, not even from that. I'm talking about, like, from the standpoint of, is this song about rape?
Right. Well, I mean, I would say, though, that it has some funk elements.
It does have some funk elements. And I guess there was that, like, Uptown Funk song that came out.
Yeah, I totally. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually listened to that song. I don't know. I don't follow pop music that much unless it's, like, Beyonce or Kanye West or Taylor Swift.
Well, John, the important part I think about Uptown Funk is there's a couple sections of the song that involve live instrumentation, which I think is very important to funk music.
Oh, definitely.
And there are, of course, some other sort of electronic parts, but I feel like the live instrumentation parts involving a big band, I think, very harken back to funk. Yeah. And I actually enjoy the song. It does get overplayed, but...
apparently not in my neck of the woods, because I've never heard it.
Oh, shit, man.
The only time I've ever heard any part of it is a girl I know had a Snapchat where some kid she was babysitting was singing it. I don't know. That's about all I know.
But viewers, funk is fun. As George Clinton would say, funk says you can jump out the window, but no one's going to care if you do. Which is a really weird quote when you think about it.
Anyway, funk is great. Yeah. Check out some Parliament. Check out some Funkadelic. Check out some Bootsy Collins. Like, especially if you love bass.
Right, yeah.
Some of the best bass playing you'll ever hear.
That and, like, some weird alien futurism as well.
Yeah, I love the Afrofuturism in a lot of the stuff. Like, and the kind of the weird sci-fi aesthetics. It's some neato stuff, guys.
Like I said, funk is fun. A lot of music today is not as fun as funk. So
it's true. I mean, literally, just take the K off and you have fun.
Exactly. I think I'm gonna draw into the hat of topics.
Yeah, let's just go. We'll just go however long we feel like. I mean, who cares? Why do we have to keep this at an hour?
It's a good time length.
But who cares?
Best pizza you've ever had. Oh, shit.
That was me. I ate pizza tonight, guys. And I'm thinking a lot about pizza. I was describing it to Ben. Me and pizza have a torrid relationship. It is passionate, but it is also deeply unhealthy.
Well, you should write a romantic poem about your relationship with
tell
pizza.
me about your favorite pizza, Ben.
Well, alright. So, being a St. Louisian... I do enjoy Emos. Ugh. However, Emos is not the best pizza I've ever had. Good. The best pizza I've ever had is probably at Katie's Pizza, which is near my house. Okay. I went with my brother, and we had a mushroom, goat cheese, arugula pizza, and like parts of it were caramelized. I think there were some caramelized onions, and it was quite good.
Sounds good.
I think there's a difference between pizza like that you can get from Domino's or Emos or some order place like Pizza Hut. And then there's like upscale pizza that has like a strange ingredients and definitely tries for some more culinary expertise. And I think that pizza is quite good. So,
all right, cool.
What about you, John? You did have pizza today. Where did you eat this pizza?
I went to Pie Pizza with my dad.
Okay, I've never been there.
State.
Isn't it any good?
It's okay. You ever had Dewey's before?
Yeah, I do love Dewey's.
I'd say it's like about on par with Dewey's. Like,
Sweet, okay.
It's good quality, like, normal pizza. Like, there's nothing there that's gonna, like, be weird or, like, blow your mind with how new and different it is, but it's, like, it's better than what you'll get at, like, Papa John's. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay,
it's good, like, mid-quality pizza.
but Obama ordered pie pizza.
Well, good for him. I don't know.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah. Like, we got, like, 3 pie pizzas in town over the span of, like, a year.
Just because Obama thought that pie pizza did Chicago pizza the best.
Wait, do they even make... Oh, maybe they do have Chicago pizza. Yeah, they do.
That's what Obama said.
I don't know. They don't even have the best Chicago pizza. Just, like, oh, man. Gino's is way better. Like the original Chicago pizza. It's good.
Is that in Chicago?
It's in Chicago.
Okay.
We need to go to Chicago at some point then, because I've been trying to get you to come to Chicago with me for like 2 years, and you just haven't done it yet.
I'm a busy man. I got red
You're
lights.
that busy.
Yeah, I got to be on call.
Well, then you're going to get like a weekend off at some point. We're going up to Chicago.
That sounds wonderful.
We'll take our good friend Tom Blood and...
Well, Death Grips is playing Chicago.
Oh, God.
Summer.
That'll be scary.
So we can see Death Grips.
I don't know if I can handle that bad.
We can get pizza.
I think I'm too delicate for a live Death Grips show.
Well, you're not going to jump on stage and get thrown off stage like that one poor son of a bitch.
That poor man.
Yeah, if you've ever seen this, Death Grips is an insane live act. And at one point, somebody jumps off stage, and Stefan Burnett, a.k.a. MC Ride, just literally hurls him from the stage, and he is absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, guys, this happened. We've seen footage.
Right, yeah. and I stay noited, so...
And I am in your area code.
Are you in?
What's your favorite color, Ben?
Oh my god, bitch! Oh, God.
Well, do we want to do one more topic, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I believe it's your turn.
All right, let's do 1 or 2 more. We'll figure it out. All right. Personal narrative essays. Then what are you actually asking me to talk about?
What do you think about personal narrative essays? Have you written any? Have you read any? Do you enjoy them?
I think I've written some in the past. Like... I don't understand the question, Ben.
What do you think about them? Do you have any thoughts?
I mean,
them?
I don't.
Have no thoughts?
I think it's a good exercise. I don't know if it's a good thing for I had to write one for a philosophy class I was in last semester, like an existentialism class. I had to write about a time when I had an existentialist crisis, which
it sounds wonderful.
I mean, it was okay. It was one of those things, I felt like it was a worthwhile exercise. It was, in a creative writing class, but, it didn't feel academic enough for what I was actually, the class I was in.
Well, I mean, I don't think it is, honestly.
I mean, it's not, but it was an academics type class, though. And so I felt, kind of weird, being graded for my creative writing skills, in an academic setting, especially because it was, worth 25% of my grade.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was the final thing for the class. So yeah, that's I don't know. I think that they have their place, but I think that their place is in a more creative writing type class than in an academic setting. But I do enjoy them from the standpoint of I like reading authors' personal narrative essays. I like reading about other people's experiences with life. I think it's a cool form. I think it's a cool thing to read.
Yeah, I mean that's why they're so great. I think because they're founded on experience. You have to have a good experience to write a good personal narrative essay. Mm-hmm. And if you have a good experience, then the personal narrative essay essentially writes itself.
True.
The shit just writes itself, as my friend Jack Woodhouse would say. So,
Jay Whitty.
And George Orwell writes some really great personal narrative essays. So does David Foster Wallace. Hunter S. Thompson essentially is a personal narrative essay.
Yeah, he is.
So it's good stuff.
I agree.
I'm glad you at least think it's of some interest.
I enjoy reading them. I'm not sure how much I enjoy writing them, at least for grades.
Right.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it because it's an easy A, but I don't like easy A's. I want to feel like I'm actually putting in some effort.
True.
Because this was a 10-page essay I wrote tonight, and I got an A on it. So,
Well, there it is, folks. Just write it in one night, get an A.
I'm a genius. Worship me.
Well, I think that's about it, viewers or listeners.
I mean, if you want to end it here, Ben, I don't care.
I think this is a good spot to end it.
Okay, sure, whatever.
Well, so I hope you enjoyed this evening selection reviews of Jurassic Park and various topics.
Please let us know what you're thinking of the show. Again, we're still pretty new at this. We want feedback. We want to know what you guys think. We want to know what you think we could do better, what we are doing good at.
Right, we want your questions, we want your comments, insights, anecdotes.
Just let us know in the comments, like, have you seen Jurassic Park? If so, what did you think of it? John Hagley, Ben Ludacek, Jurassic World, forever.